Now, it has been noted that over the last decades, many African countries have rapidly grown. However, the pace of this growth is slowing down due to oil prices and, in some cases, over-dependence of one sector, such as mining, and obviously, with the commodity prices going. So this has definitely had a poor effect on some of these economies.
Innovation in agriculture is not only about extension services, better fertilizers, seeds, or yield. It has to do also with risk and cost mitigation financing models.
When we look at the state of public finance in the agriculture in Africa, what we see is that it hasn't performed very well. This chart is from 2003 up to 2014, and we can see that agriculture has performed at a very low rate in the sense of public spending by the region.
Even the growth that we've been talking about, many countries in Africa, you've been had over 10 countries, growth is above 6%, but this growth is not inclusive.
So we think it's important to think about the role of agriculture in economic transformation. What are the barriers to innovation in agriculture? How can smallholders be linked to global markets? And what is the institutional framework to guide the agriculture transformation? Secondly, it's important to think about the financial sector as countries transform.
Most of the farmers in Africa are smallholders, and they correctly said it. And what we have seen in the past few years is the decline in the importance of traditional forms of organization of farmers through the cooperatives. But there has not been much of the talk about the need for institutional innovations to see how we organize farmers differently. In some value chains, we need more vertical coordination, but yet in others we need very horizontal coordination so that we can promote efficiency and ensure that the farmers benefit from economies of scale. This discussion has not really come forth very strongly.
Here you have not only households and companies, but we also have banks and the financial markets that form the financial system. You have governments and the ability to access the global capital markets or otherwise. And you have the fact that any economy, any single economy, works within the rest of the world. And access to resources by economies to those resources, global resources, is an important aspect of whether economies are actually financially included in the global financial system.
People talk about public-private partnerships as though it's just a partnership between the state and companies. And the idea that the companies are queuing up to make this investment. In fact, what we're finding is that to be successful, these are very multi-actor partnerships, and you have to really take all of this into account.
We always want to know what the lessons of experience are, where our impact can be best, how we can be optimal in terms of addressing market failure, institutional failure.
The private sector, I think, adds a touch of the real world, so that getting policies right often depends on understanding the nuances of what actually goes on out there in the economy, and I think that's really where the private sector adds a lot of insight.
We have been kind of in the business of talking about unlocking the value of transformative powers of agriculture, innovation, and finance. But I just wanted to conclude this part by really, really deeply appreciating this partnership of AERC with DEGRP.